She stopped packing my lunch. That's when I knew something was off. I used to walk into the kitchen around 7, still rubbing sleep from my eyes, and there'd be a sandwich in a plastic bag with a sticky note. Something dumb like, "Try not to cuss out any customers today." It'd make me laugh. Then it just stopped. No warning, no explanation. Just an empty counter. My name's Nick. I'm 34, and I run a small auto shop just outside of Carthage, Missouri. Me and Jenna had been together 7 years. We weren't perfect, but it worked. Same routine, same arguments, same late-night makeups. I figured that meant we were solid. But lately, something changed. Before we start, "How's your day going and where are you joining from?" She'd always been a little extra with the affection. Clingy, even. But now? No good morning texts. No hand on my arm when I passed by. No nothing. Her phone used to be an open book. Now it was glued to her hand. Screen flipped down, always on silent. I catch her tapping away under the table and then locking it the second I looked over. First, I told myself she was just stressed. She just started that new job grooming dogs over at Bark and Bathe, and I figured maybe the hours were wearing her down. But then she started taking these long walks after work. Never said where, never said how long. She'd come back smelling like cheap cologne sometimes. Not the kind I wear. I mentioned it once, real casual. "You go anywhere good on that walk?" She shrugged. "Just needed air." Okay. I started noticing more. She stopped asking about my day. Stopped complaining about hers. I'd get home covered in grease and sweat, and she wouldn't even look up from whatever reality show was on. We used to bicker about everything, who left the lights on, what to eat, why I always wore holy socks, but now it was just silence. And I don't care what anyone says. Silence is louder than yelling. She used to overshare. Like, I knew every time she had a weird dream or someone at work brought tuna for lunch and made the whole shop stink. Now, I had to ask twice just to get a one-word answer. It was like living with a ghost who still took showers and used your Netflix password. One night, I saw her laughing at a text, then locking her phone quick like I didn't notice. And that's when it clicked. She was hiding something, and I wasn't about to ignore it. So I waited till she was good and distracted, a fork halfway to her mouth, and I asked straight, "Is there something I should know?" She didn't blink, didn't even pause chewing. "If there was, you'd know." Just like that, cold as concrete. I didn't say another word. Finished my lo mein, threw the box in the trash, and went back to watching the game with the sound off. My head was racing, but I didn't let it show. A week later, I got a call from Kyle, my buddy who runs the bait shop near the lake. "Hey man, you were out of town yesterday, right?" "Yeah. Parts run in Springfield." "Why?" "Well, I could swear I saw Jenna down at the lake," he said. "She was with a dude. Tall. Tan. Looked like one of those Jim brothers. Definitely wasn't you." I just stood there staring at the wall behind my workbench, holding a socket wrench like I'd forgotten what it was for. "You sure it was her?" I asked. Kyle hesitated. "She was wearing that green hoodie, the one with the thumb holes. She had her hand in his back pocket, man." I thanked him and hung up. Didn't say much else. Tried to brush it off. I really did. Told myself maybe it was someone else. Maybe Kyle's eyes were playing tricks. But everything lined up. The distance, the fake smiles, the late nights, the phone always face down. That night, she left her phone on the counter when she went to grab a load of laundry. Left it just sitting there like a landmine. We'd never had passcodes before. Nothing to hide, right? I picked it up. Pressed the button. New lock screen. For digits. Denied. I tried her birthday. Denied. My birthday. Denied again. 3 tries. I set it down before it locked up for good. I just stood there, staring at the black screen like it had slapped me in the face. We used to leave our phones charging in the same spot. Hell, she used to send me memes when I was in the other room. Now I didn't even know her passcode. She came back in, didn't say a word, just tossed a towel in the basket and went back to scrolling. I swear, she knew I tried. She didn't look at me, but her shoulders were stiff. Her jaw was tight. Next day at the shop, I couldn't focus. Dropped the same wrench twice. Had a customer ask if I was drunk. My head was somewhere else, stuck in this loop of what the hell is going on. I kept telling myself to wait for proof, something solid. But the signs were screaming in my face. Every time her phone buzzed, she'd jump, walk out of the room, lock herself in the bathroom, or sit out back with the dog like she needed privacy to breathe. And when I walked out there once without warning, she snapped the phone shut so fast I thought she broke it. The next evening, I asked casually, "Who you been texting lately?" She looked up from her cup of tea like I'd asked if she killed somebody. "What? I mean, you're always on your phone. Figured you reconnected with someone." She shrugged. "Just Bree. Work stuff. Funny. Bree was here last week and didn't mention y'all even texting." Jenna didn't answer, just sipped her tea and stared at the TV. That silence was louder than a lie. I went outside, sat in the truck, and just stared at the steering wheel. This wasn't a rough patch. I wasn't imagining it. Something was happening, and she wasn't just pulling away. She was disappearing right in front of me, and I knew damn well I couldn't ignore it any longer. So I made up my mind. Next time she left without saying where she was going, I'd follow. 2 nights later, right after dinner, she stood up from the couch, grabbed her hoodie off the hook, and said it. "I'm going out. Need to clear my head." No details. No where, no when, no goodbye. Just like that. I nodded like it didn't matter, watched her walk out the door, and waited until I heard the tires crunching down the gravel. Gave it 5 minutes, maybe 6. Then I grabbed my truck keys and followed. Didn't even change out of my oil-stained hoodie. Her tail lights were easy to spot. She still hadn't fixed the one that flickered. I stayed back far enough to not be obvious, no headlights, just enough moonlight to guide me. She drove straight out past the diner, past the gas station, toward the edge of town where the houses start getting real spread out. Fields and silos, a couple barns with busted fences. No reason for her to be out this way. Then she slowed, turned into a narrow gravel drive between 2 tall hedges. I passed by, killed my lights, and parked down the road. I sat there with my heart punching my ribs, leaned over just enough to peek through the windshield, watched her get out, smooth her hair back, and walk straight up to the front door like she'd done it a dozen times. She knocked once, quick and confident. The guy answered within seconds. Big smile. Not a stranger's smile, this was familiar, welcoming. His hand went right to the small of her back like it lived there. She stepped inside. Door closed. I pulled my phone out and started taking pictures. Hands shaking, but steady enough to catch what I needed. Her at the door. Him opening it. The porch light glowing over their heads like a damn spotlight. Then I just sat there. 10 whole minutes. I didn't cry, didn't curse. Just stared at that porch light like it might burn out and prove none of it was real. I thought about all the crap we'd been through. Dead cars, job layoffs, 1 miscarriage. I thought about the ring I'd almost bought last year. She said she wasn't ready, and I believed her. Figured we'd get there. We were building something. Turns out she'd been building something else. Lights flicked off inside. My jaw tightened. I reversed slow, back down the road, and headed home with my fists gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles cracked. When she walked in a couple hours later, she didn't look surprised to see me awake. She smiled, fake and wide, like she just came back from yoga or a late-night Walmart run. "Sorry I was gone so long," she said, kicking off her shoes. "Lost track of time." I nodded once. "'S'all good." She went to brush her teeth like nothing happened. And I just sat there, holding that phone in my pocket, thumb resting on the screen. Next night after dinner, I asked her to sit down. She raised an eyebrow but didn't say anything. Just pulled out the chair and sat, legs crossed, phone still in her hand. I wiped my hands on a dish towel, tossed it on the counter, and leaned against the table. "You need to end whatever this is," I said, "or we're done." She blinked, looked right at me, like I just started speaking another language. "End what? You know what?" Her lips twisted like she was about to laugh. "I was visiting a coworker, Nick. That's it. You're being dramatic." I pulled my phone from my hoodie pocket, opened the photos, and turned the screen toward her. She looked. Her face didn't crack right away. She held it together for half a second. But I saw it. That little flinch. That flicker of panic before she caught herself. Then she flipped the whole damn thing. "You followed me?" she snapped, pushing the phone away. "Seriously? That's sick, Nick. You don't trust me?" "No," I said. "Not anymore." Her mouth opened like she had something else lined up, but nothing came out. I didn't yell, didn't accuse, didn't even call her what I wanted to call her. Just let the silence stretch out between us until she got up and stormed off like I was the problem. She slammed the bedroom door. I heard her throwing stuff in drawers, pacing back and forth, breathing loud like she wanted me to hear how mad she was. But she wasn't mad I followed her. She was mad I caught her. That night I didn't sleep. Just lay there staring at the ceiling fan and listening to her scroll on her phone like none of it happened. The next morning, I called my cousin Josh. He's a paralegal over in Joplin. Told him I needed to talk. We met in the back of the shop after hours. He brought coffee and a notebook. "How bad is it?" he asked. "Bad enough," I said. "I want to know what my options are." He laid it out simple. We weren't married, but we'd lived together long enough that splitting stuff could get messy if she wanted to play hardball. Bank accounts, shared bills. House title was in my name, but her name was on the car. "I'll draft you a breakup agreement," he said. "Not legally binding like a divorce, but it's a start. She signs, she walks away clean. Good. Do it." That weekend, I started moving things around. Changed the lockbox code at the shop. Transferred my savings to a private account. Pulled my name off the shared streaming and grocery apps. Took photos of everything I'd bought in the house, just in case she tried to play dumb. Didn't say a word to her. She walked around like nothing happened. Still made her smoothie every morning. Still left her shoes in the doorway like they owned the place. But the line was drawn. Right there across the kitchen floor. And I was done pretending we were still on the same side. She walked past me in the kitchen like I wasn't even there. Same as the last 4 days. We moved like roommates, silent, distant, mechanical. She'd brush her teeth with the door open. I'd turn on the shower louder to drown her out. Not a single word. Not a glance. Even the dog started pacing like it didn't know who to sit next to. Then that morning, while I was pouring coffee, she said it. "I'm making your favorite tonight, ribs." I froze, mug halfway to my mouth. She hadn't made me dinner in months, let alone my favorite. Last time she cooked was some microwaved pasta she left on the stove with a note. "There's food." I didn't ask why. Didn't even look at her. Just said, "All right," and walked out to the shop like it was any other day. But it wasn't. Not for her. And not for me. She thought she had control again. Like throwing some barbecue sauce on a slab of meat would erase what I knew. Like I'd fold just because she remembered what I liked. What she didn't know. I had backup now. Her cousin, Bree. It started small. Bree reached out after Jenna missed her niece's birthday party. Said she was worried. Said Jenna had been different lately. We got to talking. First, just updates. Then it turned into real conversations. Long ones. Bree saw what was happening before I even said the word cheating. "You don't deserve this," she told me one night while we sat in her truck outside the Dollar Tree. She's always had one foot out the door. She wasn't wrong. Jenna always kept a spare plan. A safety net. A backup guy. I just didn't think I'd be the fool holding the rope while she jumped. With Bree, I didn't feel like I had to explain everything. She got it. She'd known Jenna her whole life. And for once, I wasn't the one guessing. I didn't plan to get close to her. But it happened. Real fast. Couple late-night texts turned into phone calls. Then sitting in the driveway talking until midnight. Then one night, she leaned her head on my shoulder and didn't say a word. That was the moment it shifted. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about making Jenna jealous. It was about not being alone in the mess she made. So when Jenna said she was making ribs, I already knew. This wasn't a peace offering. It was bait. And I let her set the table. I came home to the smell of ribs. Sweet, smoky, thick in the air like someone sprayed it straight from a bottle. Coleslaw sat on the counter in a chipped glass bowl I hadn't seen in over a year. She even had sweet tea in mason jars like we were in some damn Hallmark commercial. Felt fake. like a memory someone tried to recreate from a photo they barely remembered. She was humming to herself. That's what made it worse. I didn't say a word, just washed my hands, sat down at the table, and waited. She served the food with a smile, scooped the slaw on my plate, unwrapped the foil like this was some date night she'd been planning for weeks. We ate in silence. She chewed slow, smiled in between bites like nothing was broken. Like I hadn't watched her walk into another man's house 3 nights ago. Halfway through the meal, I set my fork down and looked at her. "You end it." She didn't blink, didn't even act surprised I asked. Instead, she leaned back in the chair, wiped her mouth with the napkin, and smirked. "I'm leaving you," just like that, real calm, like she was announcing a weather update. I didn't flinch, didn't give her the reaction she wanted. Just stood up, walked over to my desk in the corner, opened the drawer, and pulled out the manila folder I'd been waiting to use. I came back to the table and slid it across to her. Perfect timing. She blinked for the first time all night, flipped open the folder, saw her name, the list of shared items, the cover page that read termination of cohabitation agreement. Her eyes darted across the paper. I could see the calculation happening in real time. She thought she was going to get the last word. Thought I'd beg or argue or ask her to stay. Instead, I handed her the pen. That's when the doorbell rang. We both looked at the door. She turned back to me, confused. "You expecting someone?" I didn't answer, just walked over and opened it. And there stood Bree, hair pulled back, arms crossed, calm as ever. Not a dramatic entrance. No lipstick, no smug grin. Just her. Jenna stood up behind me, suddenly tense. "What the hell is she doing here?" I didn't move. "You said you were leaving me, so I figured we'd make it official." She looked between me and Bree, eyes wide now. "You serious right now?" I stepped aside and let Bree in, and Jenna's whole face fell. Her grip on the folder tightened, her jaw set, and she spat out, "You're disgusting." I didn't say a word, just walked back to the table, sat down, and took another bite of ribs like the game was already over. Jenna stood frozen at the table, ribs half-eaten, breakup papers still sitting between her and an empty seat. Her eyes bounced between me and Bree like her brain couldn't catch up. "What the hell is this?" she snapped. "You've been sleeping with my cousin?" Bree stayed silent, didn't flinch, just walked in slow, calm, like she'd done it 100 times. I closed the door behind her. "Meet my girlfriend," I said, voice steady. Jenna blinked hard, like the words physically hit her. Then she exploded. "Oh, you've lost your damn mind. You bring her into our house? You're seriously gonna sit there and act like I'm the bad guy when you've been creeping around with her this whole time?" I didn't answer, just sat back down, arms crossed, watching her unravel. She started pacing, waving her hands, voice going high and cracked. "You're trash, Nick. This whole thing, you planned this? Manipulated everyone just so you could play the victim? You're disgusting. You lied to me. You cheated. You gaslit me into thinking I was crazy." I just stared at her, let her go. Every word was fuel she thought would burn me down. But I was already standing in the ashes she left behind weeks ago. Bree still hadn't said a thing. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, cool and quiet like she'd seen this side of Jenna before. And I knew she had. "You think she cares about you?" Jenna barked, pointing hard at Bree. "She's just using you to piss me off. You're a damn rebound." Still no response from either of us. Just her, screaming into a room that didn't care anymore. Then she saw the papers again. Her whole posture changed just for a second. Shoulders dropped, chest sunk. Her fingers brushed the edge of the manila folder like it might save her. And that's when it hit her. She didn't just lose the upper hand. She lost the one person who kept choosing her, even when she didn't deserve it. Her jaw tightened, eyes glossy now, but she forced a laugh. "You're pathetic," she said, barely above a whisper. Then she stormed out of the room, grabbed her keys off the counter, and slammed the front door behind her hard enough to rattle the frame. Bree looked over at me. "You good?" I nodded once. "She'll be back." Bree didn't ask what I meant, She just walked over, sat down across from me, and slid the breakup papers back into the folder. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. I figured that was it. She'd slammed the door, stormed out, and left the breakup papers behind. But Jenna didn't go quietly. 3 days later, I got served. Small claims. She was suing me for emotional distress. Wanted money for rent back pay, utilities, mental hardship, even damages for intentional humiliation. Said I isolated her, made her feel worthless, accused me of manipulation, of cheating, of being unstable. I sat in my truck outside the courthouse, reading every page, jaw clenched so tight my molars hurt. She listed Bree by name, said I'd been preying on her family, claimed I used the shop to lure her cousin into an affair, said I'd threatened her into silence and was hiding money. And here's the part that really kicked me in the gut. Some people believed her. Folks in town started acting different. A few longtime customers stopped calling. One guy I'd known since high school wouldn't meet my eyes at the gas station. Jenna had always played sweet in public, had that soft-spoken charm people ate up. And now she was telling them I was the monster behind closed doors. That stung more than I expected. But I wasn't going down without swinging. I called Josh, my cousin, the paralegal, and he brought in a real attorney. Guy named Lawson. Tall, gray suit, calm voice. Didn't smile much, but I trusted him the second he opened that folder. I'm gonna make this simple, Lawson said. She came in dirty. We're coming back clean. But prepared. We brought receipts. Literal ones. Gas money to that guy's house, same address from the photos. Timestamps from her phone bill. Credit card statements showing hotel stays and dinner dates on nights she said she was working late. And then came the messages. Screenshots Bree had saved from Jenna. Texts trashing me. Planning her exit strategy. One even said, "He'll never see it coming." I sat in court, hands folded, letting Lawson do the talking. Jenna showed up all done up. Dark lipstick, fake tears, pretending to flinch every time my name was said. I was scared, she told the judge. He made me feel invisible. I couldn't breathe in that house. But when they asked for evidence, real proof, she had nothing. Just a printed out Word doc with bullet points and some highlighted diary entries. The judge wasn't buying it. Didn't smile. Didn't nod. Just flipped through the papers in silence. Then he said, "I'm splitting shared property equally. No damages awarded. Defendant keeps his business, vehicle, and personal assets. Plaintiff may collect remaining personal belongings by next week." She looked stunned, mouth open like she expected a second chance to argue. It never came. Outside the courthouse, she brushed past me like I wasn't there. Bree stood next to me, arms crossed, cool as ever. "She's not done," I muttered. Bree just shrugged. Let her burn herself out. And she tried. Went online posting vague crap about toxic men and people who hide behind kindness. A few locals commented hearts, but most stayed quiet. The town's small. Word gets around. Meanwhile, I kept my head down, kept the shop running, got my regulars back one by one, cleaned house emotionally, financially, physically. By the end of that month, she was gone from the house. By the end of the next, she was gone from Carthage. And I still had my keys, my shop, and my damn peace. After the dust settled, she was just gone. No warning, no goodbye, just packed her stuff and slipped out of Carthage like a ghost. I heard from someone at the feed store she moved in with a cousin down in Fayetteville. Didn't care to ask which one. Bree stayed. She didn't move in. Didn't try to take Jenna's place. She just showed up. Cooked dinner a few nights a week. Sat on the porch with me when I was too tired to talk. Some nights we watched old movies with the volume low and the dog curled up between us. We didn't rush it. There wasn't a plan. Hell, neither of us had much to give at that point besides time and silence. But that was enough. She never asked for details. Never pushed for anything deeper than I was willing to say. And I never expected her to fix it. But some nights it still hit me sideways. I'd lie there in bed, staring at the ceiling fan, and feel that old weight come creeping back in, like something rotten under the floorboards. Trust don't come back easy. Not after you've had the rug yanked out from under you like that. Even with someone good, someone solid, the shadows hang around. I'd hear Bree's phone buzz in the other room and catch myself tensing up. Like I was waiting to hear a lie coming next. Like something bad was already baked into the silence. She noticed. Of course she did. One night she caught me flinch and just said, "It's just Amber. She's arguing with her boyfriend again." Didn't make a big deal. Didn't roll her eyes or get defensive. Just told me what it was. And you know what? That helped more than I expected. Not because I doubted her, but because she understood what Jenna broke. She didn't demand I get over it. She didn't pretend it didn't matter. She just stayed. That quiet kind of staying, the kind that doesn't need to be proved or posted or performed. It starts to rebuild things. Slow. Real slow. But it builds. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was patching up my life alone. It's funny, people think revenge looks loud. Screaming matches, slashed tires, burning photos in the front yard. That's what they expect. That's what Jenna probably wanted. But I didn't give her the show. My revenge was quiet. It was getting up every morning, unlocking the shop, and doing what I'd always done. It was keeping my word, keeping my business, keeping my damn peace. While she was online crying for sympathy and blaming everyone but herself, I was in the bay changing oil and rebuilding engines. She tried to drag me through the mud, and I walked out the other side cleaner than she ever thought I'd be. She thought I'd beg, thought I'd fall apart. But I didn't. I kept what mattered, my name, my work, the people who actually gave a damn. I stayed kind. Not because she deserved it, but because I did. And slowly I built back. Not the same way. Not fast. Not loud. But solid. Bree never asked to be the reason. She just showed up when I needed someone who didn't want to break something. She saw the truth before I did. Saw what Jenna was doing. Saw who I was under all the wreckage. And stuck around anyway. That's rare. Doesn't mean everything's perfect now. I still get twitchy when a phone buzzes across the room. Still have moments where I wait for the other shoe to drop. Maybe that never fully goes away. But I'm not bitter. Not scared. Just smarter now. People like Jenna, they don't want love. They want control. And when they lose it, they spin. They crash. They burn everything they touch. I didn't have to light the match. She did that all by herself. If you ever find yourself where I was, blindsided, broken, betrayed, don't scream. Don't chase. Just walk. Move forward. Keep your head up. Don't let them pull you back into the mess they made. The best revenge is moving on like they never mattered. Would you have handled it like I did or gone louder? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this story hit home, like and subscribe for more.